charging through the midfield. Thomas, it's up for grabs now. Thomas!
Thierry Henry! He scored! He scored for Arsenal in the Bernabeu! Tony Adams put through by Steve Bold. Would you believe it?
Good evening and welcome to episode 2 of the Big Gunner Show. And today I have a very, very special guest all the way from Italy. Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Ruairi. Thanks for having me. I'm from the Anglo-Italian Pod, and yeah, I am in a very, very humid South Italy near Bari. And I apologise if you can hear it, but that is the aircon, and there's no way it's been turned off. So you're gonna have to put up with it. Yeah.
It's all right. We actually can't hear it.
That's perfect.
This is taken forever. I don't know. I think it was at the end of last season we was gonna do a season end of season review, and obviously the season didn't end too great, so I was very naughty and I sacked it off. But we are here, so that's all that matters. So yeah, we're gonna talk about what happened on Friday evening. I hate being the first game of the season, and I just don't know. There was just something weird about it. There was just before the game. I don't think anybody was too confident. I think quite a few pundits and commentators thought we was actually going to lose the match, and they weren't wrong. What was your feelings before the match?
Well, on our podcast, I did predict that we would drop points. I wasn't bold enough to say that we would lose. I didn't want to jinx it, and I wanted to hold a little bit of hope. But I did predict we'd drop points. It was all kind of set up for it. First game back with fans, their first game in the Premier League, us being terrible, them actually being a decent team, from the Championship. They know their system, they know how to play. I thought, we're not going to do well here, but I thought we would do better than we did, I think.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I thought we would win that match. Then I thought we would draw against Chelsea. Then I thought we would lose against Man City, not beat Man City, but lose against. So I thought we was going to get 4 points out of the first 3 games, but now that's looking like a tough ask. So yeah, we'll just quickly talk about the Brentford game. We'll talk about the negatives and then if there were any positives that you saw. I had a couple of positives, but not many. But let's talk about the negatives. The manner that we conceded the 2 goals. Obviously, the first one, Chambers. It's hard to tell if the ball was out or in, but regardless, we've just given them the ball straight away. Chambers doesn't get out to close the cross as quickly as he should. It goes through his legs and beats Leno at the near post. And I think that's just the sort of goal that we've been seeing from the last 2 or 3 years at Arsenal. What is there anything we could do to stop it, or do you just feel like we need better players in those positions?
I feel like one, we need better players, but I think certain members of our defense are suffering from PTSD. It's they just have these mistakes ingrained in their brain. When the ball comes to them, they just panic because oh, I'm an Arsenal defender, I don't know what to do. And why that ball wasn't left to go out, I do not know. Just let the ball go out and the danger's gone, right? And it just seemed really naive defending. And I think weirdly, last year, defence wasn't our problem. I think we had the 3rd best defence in numbers in the Premier League, right, across the season. So weirdly, we weren't conceding too many goals, but we just know that the defenders are capable of making a mistake. And it looks like it's contagious because I'm sure we're going to get onto it, but Ben White had an absolute shocker of a debut. And this is a defender that I personally, and I still am, obviously it's 1 game, and he was with Mari, so I'm going to let him off a little bit. But he's a defender I'm very excited about, but I think just the panic that sets in our defense is mind-blowing. It just happens every single time. And for any team now, they just know, just run at them, shout and run at them and they'll panic. It's insane. I
think, the issue with Ben White, I would need to check how many headers he actually won, but I felt like it was 50-50. He was beating Tony on some and then losing some, but when he did lose a header, it seemed like it just turned into an attack. And like you're saying, playing with Mari, I don't know if that is any good of a partnership for him to be playing in. And I don't know if I would actually play those 2 in a 2 ever again, to be fair. It's just, like you're saying, for some reason, it just feels like we're just going to make a mistake every game, and it started last season with not last season, but since even when Wenger was there, we had this in us. But
yeah.
you just kind of expected something to happen if David Luiz was playing, that he was either going to give away a penalty or going to be sent off. Whether it's Leno giving Xhaka a pass that he knows Xhaka can't deal with and then gives them another chance. You just always expect something to happen. Then the second goal was just, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't know what Leno's doing. Just, I don't know why anyone didn't try to help Leno. The attacker was just pinning him, had hold of him. But like they're saying now, they're not going to blow up for things like that. So Leno had to be stronger. But then why was there not a defender in between their attacker and Leno? Again, it's just schoolboy stuff, and it just makes me wonder if they actually practice defending. I don't think they do, to be honest.
Well, that's it. And again, we were one of the better, if not the best team at not conceding goals from set pieces last season. And then what we do is we have the softest defending on set pieces. I don't know what has happened to Bernd Leno, because since Martinez left, he has been a shadow. You could even say since the injury, arguably, right? He's been a shadow of the goalkeeper he was. Before that, Arsenal fans loved him. He was making great saves against Tottenham. He was making big key saves. We thought, we've got a decent keeper, right? We've got that box ticked. We don't need to think about that again. And since that injury, he's just not been the same. He can't command. He's got no command over his area at all. And like you said, being pinned down by an attacker there and like unable to move is just like, it's ridiculous. And yeah, the defending was so soft. And it's one of those where I think with Arsenal, a lot of the goals are a mistake, right? But at the same time, you're thinking, the first time I watched it, I was like, why is the ref not blowing up on that? Because that is basically obstruction. Like, because he was holding the keeper. Like, what is he meant to do? I don't know. It's terrible from Leno, but also I don't know how that's not a free kick.
Yeah, I mean, I said it straight away as a foul, but I think they've been told to let certain things go, because there was a few challenges, not in just that game, but in the Spurs game and stuff, where it seems like they're allowing certain things to happen to let the game flow a bit more. It wasn't just that he was holding him for 2 seconds. He was literally holding him from before the throwing came. When the ball got thrown into the box, when the ball bounced, he was still holding him. So it was, for me, it was a foul, but at the same time, it's not something I would have complained about, because I think we should be dealing with that regardless. He shouldn't even be allowed to be standing near the goalkeeper without somebody trying to block him off. So again, another poor performance, sort of picking up. I mean, we finished the last season, I think 5-5. We won 5 from 5 at the end of last season. So I would say we picked up.
But that's classic Arsenal.
Yeah.
Like, to me, when there's no pressure, we just start winning games. And like April and May were incredible every year. But there's nothing to play for, I think. And I think Arteta was kind of surviving off that a little bit. The fact that Pepe did get some form together at the end of the year, the fact that we did win away games, and there was a bit of, and people were like, it's kind of the same with what happened with the FA Cup, right? We were like, oh, okay, we've had a good end. Right, okay, let's go next year, and then we'll see. And we'll get onto Arteta, but we can keep on the game for now, I think.
And then obviously the positives, not very many, but was 3 players I thought just still had a good game, and obviously Emil Smith-Rowe, Tierney, who gives us the same every single week, and Lokonga, who we probably didn't think was going to get this much game time, but it looks like he's going to be starting most weeks now. And I just think for someone that's so young, he's always looking to go forward. Seems to be more have a better defensive brain than Xhaka, which I didn't expect him to have, because they said that one of his improvements that he needed to make was the way he defended. But there was a few times where he got himself out of trouble by using a piece of skill or using intelligence, which I think is going to be very handy. And hopefully he does get to play with Thomas Partey if he's ever fit again, which just doesn't look like it's ever going to happen. But yeah, we lost that game, and now all we've got to do is just move forward to the Chelsea game, which obviously Lukaku's got to be there, and Lukaku against Mari and Ben White is going to be very interesting. But we have had quite a few good results against Chelsea in the last couple of seasons, so I'm not all doom and gloom just yet. But let's just pray for better times. Let's move on to who should we move on to first? Let's move on to Arteta first.
Okay.
Have you just run out of patience with him? Are you willing to give him till Christmas? What is your thoughts on him?
I think I don't like being in this like Arteta in, Arteta out camp, right? I hate it when it's like I'm Arteta out and that's no matter what happens. But like I'm definitely running out of. I'm like my patience is that much left. Like I think I'm still convinced that we'll sack him. He'll go to another club and he'll do incredibly well. I'm still convinced he will be a great manager. I just think at Arsenal he's learning, and he's not learning quickly enough. The fact that he doesn't help himself. Like I know the type of football you want to play. We know the type of I think I know the type of football you want to play, but you don't have that squad yet. And what we saw when he first took over when he won the FA Cup, he was really pragmatic, right? He was really like, we beat Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea. We beat some big teams. And he did that by being right. This is how you beat them. And then since then, he's just seemed to have forgotten all nuance in tactics and just gone, this is how we're going to play regardless. And it seems he's really, really not helping himself. I think we're too predictable. The fact that if you just block Kieran Tierney on the left, nothing is going to happen to you. I think there's a side of him that I think it's a bit too much about him. I think there's a bit of arrogance maybe, or a bit of like, it just seems to be more about him than about the club. I don't know. I get that vibe sometimes.
I'll say he's more stubborn than arrogance. I think it's a bit of stubbornness. I think to be a top manager is something that you've got to have, but I think at the same time, it's not what you have when you're just starting out. You can't be stubborn when you're just starting out. And you alluded to it. I honestly don't know why we're not playing 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, whatever you want to, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
What got you that success when you first came into started managing Arsenal? Why have you moved away from that? And like you're saying, I don't want to call him arrogant, but at the same time, I get what you mean, because we know you don't have the players, but if you keep saying it, but you're saying it in roundabout ways that you don't have the players, how do those players then feel? Because you're basically telling the world that the players are not good enough. We know this already, that some of them aren't good enough. But how do you get them to play for you? And you know, there's things coming out now that they don't understand these tactics and stuff like that. I think that's people trying to cause trouble more than anything. But at the same time, I feel like the young players, they understand what he wants, but then the older players don't understand, which is, I don't know, that's just they're just so youthful and they've got the energy just to run about like nutcases. I just don't know what it is.
I think part of it is like for the youth players, we've seen that now at other clubs he has improved players like Sterling and a few other players at City have said that he helped their career, right? Yeah. And I think for the young players he can make quite a lot of improvement. But for more experienced players, you have to almost, like, to steal the line from Graham Souness, you have to put your medals on the table, right? And be like, well, what have you done? And why should I listen to you? You need to prove to me that you're worth listening to. And I think for someone like Aubameyang, who we know he's had problems at past clubs, and we were warned about him when we signed him. I think he's been fantastic for us apart from last season. I think there is a potentially a personality clash there where he needs to trust the manager, and I think he's starting to see that maybe this guy doesn't really know what he's doing. And I think one of the biggest issues for Arteta is his man management. I just think, yeah, like you said in the press conferences, just coming out like you can do it once and get away with it, but coming out repeatedly and saying like my squad isn't good enough without directly saying it, it's just going to piss people off. Of course it would. If your boss turned around to everyone in your office and said, this guy, I think I need to replace him, like you wouldn't be happy about it, would you? You know what I mean? So I think his man management needs improvement. But this is something that when you've signed or when you've taken on an inexperienced manager, you know these things are going to happen. And I think another problem is that Arteta isn't getting the support around him that he needs, because he's got a lot of people around him who are also in their job for the first time. And I think we're just being run by people who are guessing what to do.
And I think I keep saying this, that he should have never been offered the job. But then if you have offered him the job, you've got to do everything to make sure that he has all the tools that he needs to do the job, which hasn't really happened as such. At the same time, I think when they changed his job title, that kind of, he doesn't have anywhere to hide now. So a lot of the blame is shifting over to Arteta, because he's now the manager. They've said that he helps make signings and stuff like that, which they should never have, that he should never have admitted it. They should never have said that. But I think now it's like you can't really blame the Cronkies or Edu, because Arteta's a part of it now as well. And I keep saying it's a job that he could never have turned down, because he may never get a chance again. So he had to take the job. He obviously believes in himself, but like you're saying, it's getting to that stage where it's just wearing thin. And as much as you can sack him, and get a new manager in, there's still going to be loads of problems that are there for whoever the new manager is. You're not going to be backed the way you want to be backed, but can you get more out of players? I think maybe a more experienced manager can get a bit more out of some of these players. But yeah, it's just going on to the Xhaka thing, giving him a new contract, things like that. You know,
it feels like there's never
panic.
ever any joint up thinking at the club. Everything seems to be like just on the hoof, and like we've gone from openly trying to flog this guy and be like anybody can take him, to him being captain in our first game and a new extension on a contract. Now, for him, it must be infuriating, because he doesn't know where he stands, right? Obviously, he must be... My relationship with Xhaka is quite complicated. I'm still confused as to why he is still choosing to be at the club. But for him, it must be infuriating. And then for us, it's infuriating because I don't know where you sit on him, but I am not his biggest fan. Like, I think a lot of what happened to him online with his family and like the death threats was so out of order. Of course it was, but also there's things that he's done at the club where I'm like, I will never fully like you, right? But I think that you're right. That situation just sums up how Arsenal is run at the moment. Even Bellerin now just demanding a move. We cannot pay people to buy our players. Chelsea have just sold Abraham for 45 million, and we're selling Willock for 25. Like, I don't know. It's insane.
We'll briefly we could talk about the Willock thing. I didn't want to sell him, but I see why he was sold. People were talking about the money that he was sold for isn't enough, but it's always, if we typed in Willock and went back to December just before he went out on loan, I guarantee a lot of the tweets going out were that Willock's not good enough for Arsenal. But all of a sudden, he scored 8 in 8 or whatever, 7 in 7, whatever it was for Newcastle. And then that automatically makes him 50 million. But what people don't realize is that the amount of goals that he scored in that short space of time was exactly the same amount that he scored in like the previous 50 games that he had scored and played for Arsenal. So, and then we don't want the same situation as last season where we turned down money for Maitland-Niles and then now nobody wants him. So it's a calculated risk that I think that we had to take. If we don't spend the money and we don't buy anyone, then it's obviously it was stupid, because we obviously have to now replace him, because that's now Ceballos, him, Odegaard, David Luiz all gone from last season, and we've brought in a left back that we never had. And then we've brought in Ben White and Lokonga. So we still need to improve. So if we don't improve, it looks like a really stupid selling to me. But right now, I'm not too mad with it.
No, I think and like I said, because we seem to be unable to sell players, when an offer comes in for a player, we need to sell them. Like, because the Kronkers make sure that we only spend what we sell and stuff like that. So it's like, I definitely understand. And you're right. The narrative around Willock with Arsenal fans has like made a 180 so quickly. I've always kind of liked him, and I've always been like, if we just give him a run, I reckon he'll be all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. December, there was people begging for him to be sold, like begging for him. And I think, well, something that's kind of stood out to me more this summer than ever is just Arsenal fans online are just amongst the worst, and there is no middle ground. There's no middle ground. There is like two extremes, and that's it. Like, it is infuriating.
It's really crazy because I thought it was just the Arsenal fans, but then I started seeing people like Chelsea fans saying that, you know, Abramovich isn't a good owner and that they need to sack Mourinho. I was just like, what have you lot watched for the last 10 years to like, what are you watching? And then, you know, you sort of got teams like Spurs that obviously not being being disrespectful. They think they're bigger than what they are.
Yeah.
So there are, it's just and I think it is just social media, because if there was no social media, who would they be complaining to? Because like I say, I go to, you know, 10 to 15 Arsenal games a season, and these are not the fans that are in the stadium. Even the fans in the stadium, they complain, but they're not, you know, sort of just saying the most outrageous things that we seem to be reading every day. And again, Martinez was the same. The guy had been at Arsenal for 10 years. He couldn't get into the Rotherham
Reading's team.
Reading's team. Couldn't get into Sheffield United's team. Couldn't get into Getafe's team. He went on 6 or 7 loans where he couldn't really get game time. He played 7 games for Arsenal, looked really good. And then again, it's just a calculated risk that right now it looks like it hasn't paid off. But you just have to take these risks, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. We sold Oxlade-Chamberlain, hasn't played too many games. We sold Iwobi, hasn't played too many games.
We've done very well out of those two players.
So
very well.
That's 60 odd million. So for all the rubbish ones that we have, like Gnabry and people like that down the line, there are some successful ones. So,
there are definitely more of the Gnabrys than the Oxlade-Chamberlains, I think.
I mean, in terms of the money, like that 60 million for me can carry us quite a way. But I don't know, like you say, it's just so negative, and I don't enjoy it. But at the same time, I'm always gonna support Arsenal. I'm gonna support
of course.
Granit Xhaka. I'm gonna support Bellerin. Whoever plays, whoever starts, you have to support them. And you know,
there's none of the players that I like. I don't hate any of the players. I find it difficult to like. I find it difficult to warm to Xhaka because I understand why he did what he did with the fans. Like, if someone had been sending my Mrs. Death threats, I'd have told them where to go as well. I understand what happened there, but I think there was just too much water under the bridge at that point, and we should have just been like, right, this isn't working. And add to that the fact that he does. You can't count on 2 hands the amount of mistakes he's made for Arsenal. If you know what I mean? It's like he's made a lot of mistakes.
I think that the telling thing is that he actually doesn't want to play for Arsenal. So as much as we want to blame him, he's being professional and still playing. He could just say, I don't want to play, and then just just do what he wants.
Do a Harry Kane, right? Could just do a Harry Kane.
But he's still turning up for us, whether he's turning up and putting in good performance or not. That's but for me, he's playing at his level. Like, he's doing what he does, what he's always done for Arsenal. So you can't be too mad. But like you're saying, once that happened, I think it was the right time for both, for us to say, listen, you can't really do what you did, and at the same time, Arsenal fans, you can't do what you did. And he wants to leave, so we should have let him go, but we didn't. And now it seems like we're paying for it. So let's move on to Sunday. There's obviously going to be I don't know how much people are going to turn up. But there's obviously supposed to be a protest on Sunday. How do you feel about protesting? I'll let you answer, and then I'll give you my answer.
I think it's the best way we have of showing our discontent, whether that's with politics, whether it's with sport, whether it's it's the only route we have, right? Moaning on Twitter doesn't affect anything. I think being when it makes bad PR for the club, that's when the people like the Kroenkes care, right? You can see with United, the Glazers have actually seem to have made a bit of a change in, at least with big signings, right? because they could see how bad the PR was for the club when the fans stormed the stadium, when there was the massive protest. So I think it does work. It just needs to be sustained. The only thing that worries me is that the bad atmosphere might carry into the ground, because I've been to the Emirates quite a few times when the atmosphere gets quite sour quite quickly. And I think that's the only thing that worries me. But I think in terms of us trying to get the message to the Kronkers, it's the only thing we can do. And I would be, if I was in the UK, I would be going to the protest. What do you make of it?
I'm completely the other way opposite to that. To be fair, I just think I get why people want to do it, but I can't remember a time it's ever worked. And I know people say the Glazers, but they, in the signings that they've tried to make, they've been trying to get Jadon Sancho for the last 2-3 years. So it's not like it's we've just gone out and got this guy, because they've been trying to sign him. So I don't think anything has actually changed. I think all that happened was they got a game called off, which obviously got, like you're saying, publicity to the ground. To the owners,
and that did cost them quite a lot of money. It did cost them quite a lot of money.
But again, that it didn't really do any. If they were docked points or anything, then I would have been like, okay, there was a bit of a reason, and then they would have to counter that. But I think the sort of money that these people would, they would be losing out on isn't much, because we were on lockdown at the time anyway, weren't we? So it wasn't like the stadium was going to be full. The only thing that meant is that they had to replay the game a different day, and anything that they would have made that day they lost, but essentially they still would have made it back. But I get it drew massive attention, but unless you're going to do it all the time, it doesn't, I don't think it works. And then with that, it turned negative very quickly, where they broke into the stadium and then they started smashing things up. Where a police officer had his face bust open. So that is my problem with protesting, is that there's always going to be idiots. 10 or 20 people that turn into idiots and then spoil it, and then nobody remembers what the good that you was trying to get from the protesting. They only remember the bad, and I think it kind of kills the whole point of protesting. And everybody's going to go into this protest angry. There's not anybody going into it like, oh, we're trying to get better times. They're going into this angry, and that is what's worrying me, is that, like you say, and what we're reading on social media is just pure aggression. And that's the people that are going to be turning up, and it's only going to carry into the match, because we're playing Chelsea. Nobody, let's face it, nobody wants to play that match right now.
No.
So
that's true.
I don't know how much, and when they're not in the country, I don't know how much it works. They're not in the country, they don't care.
Yeah, well, I think if there's anything we've learned, it's that they absolutely don't care. But I think there's nothing else that we can do. Either we sit back and we go, okay, we're owned until they get bored, and we just passively take it, or we try and do something where it's like, well, let's at least try and make headlines in America that maybe on the news they'll be like, oh, the club that the Kronkers own aren't happy. It just feels like we're so powerless anyway. Well, yeah, exactly. They all, he can't even go back. He can't go back to St. Louis. I'm pretty sure.
So
was it St. Louis? The St. Louis Rams, right?
So it's just like, this is my issue with the that is my exact issue with the situation, is that I just don't think they care that much, because they know they're hated. It's not like, where they want to be loved. I just don't think they care. And what they bought the club to do, which you mentioned earlier, is to be self-sustaining. So you spend what you sell, which they've pretty much been doing. So to them, there's no issue, because they're making money. They don't care about trophies, because if they cared about trophies, they would be splashing cash that they actually have. But they're not. So that is.
Well, I'm pretty sure we just bankroll their NFL team to like Super Bowl. Like, the money we make from the Premier League just goes to the NFL and the MLB and all that. Like, I think that is the issue. It's really depressing. I think the only time that they would genuinely be like, we need to get out, is really depressingly if we ever got relegated. If we were out of the Premier League, I think they would sell. I think beyond that, you're right, they have no cause to sell. I was a little bit optimistic when Spotify matey turned up, and I was like, okay, maybe this could be interesting. But if they don't want to sell, there's nothing he can do, right? Like,
yeah, and does he really want to buy, or is he just trying to? Like, you're just never gonna know, are you? Like, that's I think.
Well, this is it, but I feel like because he managed to get Henry and Bergkamp and Vieira kind of in name attached to it, I was like, okay, I would like to think they're not just going to put their name to any old person who turns up for Arsenal. But you're right, we'll never know. We'll never know.
And I think they were just like, hopefully we can get rid of this guy. So, like I said, that's probably why they put their name to it, because they were just hoping to get rid of the Cronkies, but that hasn't happened. And now, obviously, Patrick Vieira's gone and doing what he's doing now. So that's one less backer that we have.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So, yeah, I want to say it's going to be interesting, but unless we sign 3 players real quick, and I don't know. Let's just briefly talk about people that could be coming in. So obviously there's Ramsdale. Me personally, I think if he's playing for a slightly better team, you're going to see better results. People keep talking about how many goals he conceded, but he's playing for a team that conceded over 300 shots or something stupid.
Yeah.
The chances
like
are
that Sheffield United team.
Yeah,
that Sheffield United team were nearly as bad as the Derby team. I'm not gonna hold that against him. And then where was he before that? Bournemouth.
And then they say he's been relegated twice. Well, Maguire's been relegated 4 times, and he cost 85 million. So I don't know what you want. So Ramsdale, for me, it's just the money that you sign him for. You don't pay 30 million pound for the guy that you're talking about just being an understudy this season. I don't think he's going to improve enough for him to be number 1 next season.
Yeah, I think the Athletic released tonight that it's apparently 20 million plus 5 million add-ons, which I wouldn't be too angry about. I think 30 million is ridiculous. Sheffield United are like, what are you doing asking for that much? Like, the cheeky, my God. But I think 20 plus 5 wouldn't be too bad. I think I said it just before we started recording. I'm not too angry about that one. I think we need a backup keeper. We tried getting a cheap backup keeper, and we got that one from Iceland, who is an absolute clown. So I would rather spend a bit more money having a decent understudy.
I'll be very annoyed if we sign him and don't sign anybody else.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think
that is the worst case scenario, and that's only going to be very negative, not for Ramsdale, but for the club. It's going to be negative. It's just going to be just a pure aggression again. So yeah, Ramsdale, I'm not here or there. It doesn't really bother me. It's not my money. So do what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah,
then we've got Odegaard. How do you feel about him? Because obviously he was on loan at us, got a little injury while he was there. Showed what he could do. Did he do enough for you? Would it be a loan, or would it be if they said you could have him for 30, 35 million, would you take that?
I like the loan with an option to buy. I like the loan with an option. I think if there was periods when he did play for us where I was like, this guy is incredible. I think the space he gets himself into, his eye for a pass, his close control, he is a very, very talented guy. What he needs is stability in his career. Real Madrid have messed him around so much. And I think in Sociedad, he was incredible. I think it would actually be a very clever signing. What I've seen online, again, is like, well, this guy isn't going to solve our problems. Well, no, one player isn't going to solve our problems, but I think he could go some way to doing it. I think it would be a very clever move. If it was 30, 40 million, I think that is an absolute bargain. That guy is like, if we can get him consistently in the team, get him used to Premier League football, I think he could be unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm not too, again, I'm neither here or there with that one. I would prefer a loan, the option to buy than just splashing the cash right now. Because I feel like if we have a half decent season this year, that if we are able to keep that money, then we could sign someone potentially ready, like that we know is going to give us, great results week in, week out next season. So I'm more inclined to a loan with the option to buy. But if it is like 30 million, then I think it's something that we could do and still have money to go again next season and buy another forward player. Maddison, what about you with that one?
I like him as a player. I think people are getting a bit too excited about him. His numbers aren't that great. His goals and assist numbers aren't that great. And he's in quite an offensive Leicester team, right? And he's a big part of that team. I think you'd be expecting him to maybe get closer to double figures in assists. We need goals from midfield. He's averaged, I think, like 8 or 9 goals a season, which is all right. But I think
it's more than anything that we've had for the last couple of years.
granted,
so
but,
maybe, yeah.
But what worries me is that we're going to end up spending 70 million on him, and I don't think he's a 70 million pound player. I think if we could, I just worry we're going to overspend. I think we could spend that similar or less money more cleverly abroad. But then the question is, he's Premier League ready. We know he can play in the Premier League. A player from abroad, you don't know if that's going to happen, right? Yeah, I would take him, but I just worry we're going to end up paying so much, and it'll be another potential Pepe when people are just making memes about it forever about how much we paid for him. Like,
I totally agree. Again, I'm more inclined to say sign him if it's 60 mil, but I think once you go past that, it's a massive risk that I'm not sure I'm willing to take. And then it's just two players that seem like, I don't know, because now they're saying Barcelona are not really interested in Aubameyang, so we don't know where these rumours have come from. But Aubameyang and Lacazette, if you had to sell one, which would you be selling? Based on recent performances, based on for the last season.
It's so hard. Lacazette has been really good for us recently. I think he actually suits the system better. I think the football that Arteta's trying to play, he's better at it. But Aubameyang, if you can actually play him as a striker, he can be very good. I think I'd be more inclined. It's impossible. I'd be more inclined to keep hold of Lacazette at this point. I think Aubameyang's head might have been turned. The only thing is, there's no players at Barcelona that they're willing to sell that I want. I don't want Coutinho. I don't want Umtiti. I do not want Dembele. I don't want Pjanic. Like, there's so many players. Who I want is Pedri or, Moriba, but they're not going to give them away, right? We're going to end up paying the money to Coutinho that he's getting at Barcelona, and that's just another problem. We're doing the same thing like we did with Willian. Like, I don't like any of it. Like, which one would you give away?
I'm the same with you. If I knew that we could get the Aubameyang back from 2 years ago, obviously it's a no-brainer. You're keeping Aubameyang, but like you're saying, the one that suits the system, the one that if he's not scoring, still gives you a half-decent performance. If Aubameyang's not scoring, you just don't even know he's playing. But at least Lacazette's trying to get involved. He's trying to link play. He's just getting about, and whether it's just making
his pressing is really good. His pressing's really good. His link up, like hold the ball up.
So just based on that, I would probably be keeping Lacazette. But at the moment, if we sold both of them and got someone, I don't even know who's out there. Like, it's a hard job to replace them without
the only one I think could be maybe realistic, and apparently he's going to Atleti now, is Vlahovic from Fiorentina. Obviously, on our pod we talk about Serie A, and that guy is an absolute machine. I would take him definitely. The other one that excited me was Martinez, but I think that was just paper talk. I don't think that's really happening. I think we kind of missed out on Tammy Abraham. For a while, I wasn't convinced with him, but I think he maybe could have done a job with us. But I also I want to stop signing players from Chelsea. I don't want any more players from Chelsea.
It's not giving them money, do we? We don't give them money, make them better, do we? So, I was very indecisive about Tammy Abraham. I think he's a very, very, very good squad player that will probably get you 10 to 15 goals a season. But is he going to get you top 4 by scoring 15 to 20 goals, which it needs? I'm not quite sure. So, I mean, fair play to him for making that move, because I can't remember any young English players going to Serie A. I know they go to Germany or wherever, but going to Serie A is a massive thing. And, I can't remember anyone since people like Gascoigne how many years ago, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah,
Ashley
yeah,
Young
yeah.
and Moses have
Well, there
gone
was
over
last
there,
season.
but they were in their 30s. Smalling again,
Exactly.
30. So
Yeah.
anyone his age, I can't remember anyone his age going over there.
The only one was Tomori, went on loan from Chelsea last year.
Yeah. I forgot about
by
Tomori,
all accounts, he did really, really well. He did really well. But I think it's a brave move from Tammy, and fair play to him. I really hope he kills it. I love seeing English players do well abroad.
I really hope he does well, because I think
Yeah.
he got a lot of stick. Some of it, some of it was obviously needed, but he still got the same amount as Timo Werner last season. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
exactly.
yeah, I hope he really, really does well. But yeah, we've got to the 40-minute mark. So yeah, and they're gonna end the show. But thank you so much for coming on, man. And obviously we'll do a lot more this season now that we finally got here. But tell us where we can find you. Tell us your podcast. If you can remember what days you release your shows and stuff, let us know.
It's all a bit all over the place at the moment because I'm still on holiday. So usually we do Monday live streams on Twitch and on YouTube. And we do our kind of preview shows on a Friday with the Anglo-Italian Pod, focusing mainly on Serie A and Premier League. You can find us on Twitter at Italian Anglo Pod and on Instagram Anglo-Italian Pod. Someone stole our account on Twitter, which was very annoying. But yeah, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, and mate, I'd love to come on again. Hopefully, we're a bit more positive, but I love a moan, so I'd love to come on and moan again. Don't worry.
Yeah, so all of the links and where you can find him and his team will be in the comments section below. So make sure you go follow. And yeah, this has been episode 2 of the Big Gunner Show. Thank you, and hopefully, we have a good result on the weekend and peaceful protest for all those people that will be there. And make sure you all look after yourselves if you are going there. Don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button, and see you all next week.
Thomas charging through the midfield. Thomas, it's up for grabs now. Thomas!